Merkel Media.
He put it in park, threw open the driver's door, ran out the side of the car, across the front of it, and jumped right off the side of the bridge in front of me.
The only people that really pulled over were truckers.
He said, "We're going Hodge," and he didn't slow down. He went across the median onto the oncoming traffic, but where they could see him coming, they just got out of the way.
I noticed this plane was really low. It went right in front of us, hit the fence, and it spun around. 30 seconds more, he could have hit us.
But I went around that truck, and a guy stepped out from behind the truck and threw a piece of wood, and it shot through my window just like a spear and stuck in the back of the cab of my truck.
That's probably one of the stranger things I've seen.
Welcome to Hammer Lane Legends. I am Brian Merkel.
And I'm Brian Shipper.
If you have a crazy and wild story you would like to share with us from the road, go ahead and contact us at hllpodcast@protonmail.com. That's hllpodcast@protonmail.com, or go to the hammerlanelegends.com webpage. You can hit the contact section, get hold of us that way. Either way works for us. Just get a hold of us. We want to have a conversation with you. Chipper, tell them about the voicemail line.
Yes, voicemail line, leaving a short story, something crazy, wild, insane you might have seen on the road, participated in, or whatever. You can call the number 515-585-MERK. That's 515-585-6375. Follow the simple prompts there. Leave a short story, 5-10 minutes at the most. If you have anything longer than that, get a hold of Jack or Brian, and we'll schedule you to be on the show.
Amen, brother. We'll get you on the show.
While you're snooping around on the website, you can keep us fueled at buymeacoffee.com/hammerlane. It's a virtual tip jar. If you like what we're doing, you feel like contributing, have at it. If not, thanks for looking.
Thank you, Ship.
Look at that.
Well done. Smooth. I'm telling you what. That was smooth. Just like somebody who we're going to be talking to today. How are you? Today we're talking to Crystal Hill, and she has a book. And we're going to be talking about this, and it's a really good read, and I want to encourage everybody. It's called The Confessions of a Bus Driver by Crystal Hill, and it is really a good book. I've really been enjoying it. I've been having a blast reading it, and I got about 3/4 of the way through, so I'm hammering it pretty good. So, but thank you so much for coming on, Crystal. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're doing well. We're doing really well. It's hard to believe it's Memorial Day weekend.
Exactly.
I mean, I know I just time-stamped the show, but that's okay.
Well, if you stamp it, I was going to.
One of us was going to say it. You know it. Well, I am so glad that you're able to come on and just kind of, as Tony, my son, always says, chop it up with us. We just really appreciate it, and we just kind of, as we get into this thing, we're going to find out what you do, how you got into this, or how what the book is all about. And we're just going to talk about little stories throughout the book. So why don't we start at the very beginning? How did you get into driving bus?
Okay, well, I wasn't into driving a bus at all. I went to school for cosmetology.
Okay.
And it all started there. After I graduated, I went down, got my license and everything. I passed the state board and everything. So I came, and at that time, we were filling out applications. It wasn't the online thing. So I saw an ad in the paper of a beauty salon that was hiring. And so she told me what I needed. I needed a model. I needed somebody that, allow me to cut their hair and style it and everything. So I said, sure, I could do that. And so I got my model, and we headed to the beauty salon. So she set me up. I did the person's hair, and it came out beautiful. To me. And so she said, okay, she said, your style is wonderful and all of that. And so she said, okay, well, I have a few more stylists to interview. She said, give me 3 days and I'll contact you. So I said, okay. So I got back in the car with my model and everything, and I'm just beaming with this beautiful style that I, did on her. And just like that, it was like lightning struck. She was like, you didn't tell me you were going to cut my damn hair. I said, excuse me, huh? But you agreed. I made it plain that I was going to cut your hair. And she said, I did not agree to you cutting my hair. So she cuts me up one side, down the other. When she got home, she got out of my car, slammed my door so hard, I thought the window was going to break. I thought, what did I do? So I went in and my mom said, oh, so how did your interview go? I said, Mary, I cut her hair and she didn't like it, I guess. She said, wait, what? You took Mary? I said, yeah, why? She said, Mary is known to have, kind of mental issues. And I said, what? I said, no wonder she didn't remember me telling her that I was going to cut her hair. So anyway, make a long story real short, I called back in 3 days because she hadn't contacted me. So I asked her, I said, this is Crystal Hill. And did you like my style? I was the one that did it. So she said, well, I'm sorry it took so long for me to get back to you. She said, but I went with another stylist. And I said, oh, that's no problem. I said, but if you have any openings, I said, don't hesitate to call. Back to the one as I went. Right. And that's where I saw the openings for the bus driver position. It was two openings, one for paratransit and one for the regular bus. So I put in the application for both. I'm like, okay, well, I can give both, one or the other. So it was go down and take a test for, both to get in. So for the first one, I was late. And they said, because you're late, you can't, take the test today. And I thought, wow, okay, no problem. So, and then I thought, okay, I've got the test for the bus driver. So I said, okay, I got up because my car didn't start that morning. So I didn't get down there on time. That was the reason. So the next day, I think it was the next day or day after, I went and made sure I got up early enough. My car was working. I got down there. I was the first person at the door, like, okay, waiting on the doors to open. And so she said, sit where you see testing materials and everything. And I did. And so that's where it all started. I had just had my youngest son. And at that time, your height and weight had to be, proportionate or whatever they call it. Right. And so I was 20 pounds overweight. And I said, well, I just had a baby. And they was like, rules are rules. So I had to, be put on hold. They didn't count me out, but they put me on hold until I was able to lose the 20 pounds. Okay. I went straight. I don't know if you know what Slim Fast is. I do. I went straight to the grocery store and bought like 40 bottles of Slim Fast. Because I said, I need this job. And I lost the 20 pounds. I went back. I was able to pass the physical because I lost the 20 pounds. Then my rank became, at the time, it was like rank. So my rank was 53. And so it was like, you get called after you get to that rank. I was finally called. That's when I stepped into the doors of Keep It Moving Bus Company. And the rest is history. So it was a process. We went through the training. We went through, before going out with the drivers, we went through the classroom and all of that. And I was like a sponge. I was soaking it in. I was like, I want to know everything there is to know about driving a bus because I don't want to have to do this process all over again. So we went through our training for 30 days. And after, I think, 10 days in the classroom, we went through the rest of the training with the operators. Because I don't know, I was just a very good driver. So they ended up pinning me. I called them my OGs. So if you look, if you read the book, you know what my OGs were. So they took me in, they took me under their wing and showed me everything there was to, know about a bus driver, how to drive a bus. And so they said, because I had the smoothest stop that they had ever seen. Coming, for a bus and a first-time bus driver, they were like, we're going to call you Smooth Operator. There you go. From 1989 to this day, I have been called smooth operator.
That is fantastic.
So I went through, so like I said, if you went through the book, man,
Yep.
I seen some things. So they had 4 rules. I called them my old school rules.
Uh-huh.
They said, don't tear up they ish.
Yep.
I'm not gonna cuss. They said, come to work every day. Let's see, come to work every day. Stay drug free. And it was one more. Don't tear up their shit. Don't steal their money.
Yep.
Because, at that time, they had little, where you were selling bus passes and stuff on the bus. At that time, this was way before they got the new stuff in. And, they had people in there that was just stealing the money and all of that. So I was like, oh, okay. So I took those, and they said, and the one thing, this will stick with you forever, and you will have a career at the Keep It Moving Bus Company. They said, the Keep It Moving Bus Company don't fire you. You fire yourself. And meaning, say like I just keep calling off work. You didn't fire yourself because you didn't come to work. Or if you have an accident and don't report it, you didn't fire yourself because all you had to do is report that accident. So it was stuff like that. So I made it 34 years driving a bus.
That is
and when I tell you, I heard some things, I seen some things, I smelled some things. There was nothing you could tell me, whisper in my ear, or anything like that I just didn't know. No, you
I'll
can't.
tell you what. After reading the book, the report that I'm at, now I know why I'm not a bus driver. When I got to the smell some things stuff.
Oh my goodness. And
Good night.
I'm telling you, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes,
I believe it.
I wouldn't have believed it. So every story in there is based off of true stories. It was crazy. Like, are you serious? I mean, the one guy just had feces coming all out of his head. So
how do you not know it?
And he was like, what smell?
Right.
What?
He's the only one that didn't smell it. Wow.
Oh my God. And everybody got off the bus, was like, let us off. And if you read the book, you would know that his scooter got on the bus, paid its fare, and sat down like it wasn't nothing.
But that was hilarious.
So he was immune to his own smell that he just didn't figure he smelled. And then the lady in the wheelchair, if you got through that part.
Word. I did. I was reading that last night before I went to work. I was like, wow.
Oh my goodness.
God bless.
And that one got everybody because she talking to her skunk and her rat like, oh, that's just my dead husband. They need to be taught a lesson. I'm going, but they have no head. They're dead. What? So just crazy things I saw and heard, and oh my God. So go ask me.
It's all yours.
This is when I was reading that section, I'm like, how do you approach someone like that? I mean, I guess when you've been driving bus for a while now, this is pretty early on in your career, if I remember right.
Yes.
So how did you have like the forwardness to say something to somebody? Because I'm like, I know me, I'd be like, well, I'll open my window, I'll tolerate, I'll do the best I can. I was really proud of you for just being vocal enough to go.
Because we were supposed to remain professional at all times. That was our bus driver model. We had to remain professional. So even though I was professional, I'm still like, okay. But, sir, I could not drive that bus safely, with my sweater on my face or, with my head hanging out the window trying to drive. I could not, so I had to let him know, I'm sorry, I can't drive this bus like this. And
Yeah.
he's looking like, what do you mean? What smell?
Oh,
So, but we had to remain professional at all times, and it was hard. It was
Oh my
hard. I would tell them, not in the, oh, you stop. Oh, that's just, no, I wouldn't, sir.
Right.
I'm sorry, but I can't drive this bus like that. And then we go back.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Okay, when somebody gets here, then you explain to them why I can't. They'll explain to you why I can't drive this bus safely.
Yeah.
So, I will always make sure I will call my superior to have somebody come so they
Sure.
can assess the situation and not just me calling them and saying, oh, Crystal's got a problem today. No, I tolerated a lot of things, but
Right.
that smell, if you smelled it, you wouldn't have been able to tolerate it. You wouldn't have been able to drive safely,
Yeah,
so.
And it's just funny. I guess that's when you're dealing with the public like that, and that's the kind of job it is. It is you are dealing with the public. I mean, we're a couple of truck driving schlubs. We just drive by ourselves, and it's I'm okay. I can roll my window down. Whatever. It's just me. I'm still pretty aware. Every now and then you're checking your armpit. How do I smell? Before I go into the terminal. We're coming in summertime, and I know that sounds terrible to say it, and I probably shouldn't say it that way, but it's just reality. You want to be aware of yourself. How you deal with people who aren't aware of themselves. It's my hat's off to you for doing it. As the lady with the wheelchair, I was like, I don't know how you did it.
And I tried. I did. I got out of my feet. I tried to, wheel her up until I saw her padding, was kind of falling off the back, so, I'm trying to, keep my composure and, get back there. And, so when I seen the rat and the skunk and it knocked me back, knocked me on my butt. And I said, you know what? I'm not rolling you nowhere. Yeah. I just went and called somebody because I'm like, so she ended up getting out of her seat. So I don't know if she was just in a seat because she couldn't stand for a long period of time or whatever.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Yeah.
She got up, she rolled herself up on the bus, which she was the only one on the bus at that time because everybody was like, let me off because
this ain't
the
happening.
Was outrageous. It was a mixture of this skunk and I guess the dead animal and then her. It was horrid. It was horrid. And that was another time I could not drive that bus safely.
Sure.
And I had people's lives in my, like, how are you driving this bus? You don't smell her. And I didn't want to go through. So I always made sure to call a superior to say, you come and assess the situation and then you tell me, can I drive this bus safely? And all three times they was, I'm sorry, we cannot, so they would have to replace my bus, to take that one in to get it all cleaned out and bring me another one, And then there was sometimes they didn't even want to take the bus themselves because they was afraid of the smell we get.
Yes.
So
I can picture this back at the office there. They got a scoreboard up top on the wall. On a rate of 1 to 10, how bad really was it? And they're like 15. Yes. If she's calm, trust me, it's at least 10.
It's crazy. Oh my word, it was crazy. I mean, I said, my hat's off to you. I don't know how you do it.
So I went through, and like you said, it was early in my career, but the one thing they drilled in my head was to always remain professional. And I did, the majority of the time, unless someone crossed that line where, I got to push the button because you acting a fool,
Yeah, 100%.
And that, that was, I'm not sure if you got to the part where the young man got on the wrong bus. That's just ass. Okay, you haven't got that. Okay.
But I'm getting.
So go ahead, ask me whatever I can tell you.
Okay. Now, when you have when you're driving the bus and you have and you have a mishap, let's say it that way, you have to jump through hoops, don't you? I mean, you have to call and take care of it. Like if something, explain the part where you're going to make the turn and somebody's coming at you at like 90 miles an hour.
Oh my goodness!
People understand stuff that you see as a city bus driver.
Right. So there was a spot in the route because first of all, this was my off day. Came in on my off day, so he told me what little piece that I had, but with not knowing that there was a reroute. We call them reroutes. So there was a reroute right at the railroad tracks. They were putting new tracks in or something they were doing, molding it or whatever. So I had to detour down this street and then turn down this little small street. Well, being a bus, I had to turn out really wide and then come back over. Okay, so I waited there. I'm sitting there at the light. I'm in the turn. I'm like, okay, good. Woo, I'm gonna miss this because there's a fire hydrant right on the corner. Right. So I'm in the turn. I'm turning the bus. I see this car. I mean, he's coming at me. And I said, first I said to myself, maybe he don't see this big old bus turning and it's going to slow down. This guy never slowed down. So which caused me to yank my bus over as fast as I could to get out of his way. But by that time, all I heard was, I didn't even want because I thought, this is my third accident. I don't even want to see it. I know I hit something. It's fixed, and I'm going to a drug test. I sat there and I thought, so maybe if I tell him that this man was coming at me head on, maybe that would save my job. Right. No. When I went for my one-on-one, he said, what's going on with you, Smooth? I said, what do you mean? This man was coming at me head on. He said, you should have let him hit you head on rather than causing an accident. You don't prevent an accident to have an accident. I said, what you talking about, Willis? I said it just like that. I mean, trying to lighten up the situation because I said, clearly this man didn't just say that to me. Yep. And he said, because of that, that's your third accident. I said, so I'm being charged for an accident that wasn't my fault? He said, you hit a fixed object. I said, but I was turned out wide. I had no choice but to get back over to keep this man from me. He said, it don't matter if he would have broke every bone in your body. Or if he would have, came through the windshield on me or anything like that. You should not have prevented an accident to have an accident. I thought, oh, Jesus, this is not. What yeah, that's what I said too. Yeah. So,
I mean, thinking about it with the, you're in a bus, this guy's coming at you. How much protection is really between you and that front bumper at that point?
Before the bike racks, we had protection, but before the bike racks, there was no protection. So if he had came head on, he would have been up in my driver's seat.
Right. I mean, you're talking broken legs and, or you're hitting the thing.
And you would think that your boss the attitude would be better to spare someone's life or injury and scrape up a fuss, then, but that wasn't not his answer.
That's what I thought too. It was like, okay,
I thought it was crazy.
You're really just picking on me. That's, I just came to the conclusion. You're just picking on me. I'm a professional driver out here. I'm doing everything that I most possibly can. And you're going to tell me that I should have let this man hit me head on. That's just crazy to me. That was just crazy.
Yep. I was, and that's the thinking sometimes,
Yes. Yes.
Don't try and avoid an accident to have an accident. It's like, what?
Right. Okay. So if I just like, not got over and not, let him hit me head
Yeah.
on, and I would have died. So my job would have just been replaced and kept it moving.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
And that's so unfair.
It is.
So
It's a very unreasonable attitude.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, then you're like thinking to yourself, well, she didn't yield to oncoming traffic before she started her turn. Well, she didn't expect some idiot to be doing 90 miles an hour coming the other way.
Thank you. Yes. That's the same thing I said.
Yeah, that would have been
I'm
a
with
situation.
you there. Every man for himself.
Yes, it is. That would have been a great situation for a dash cam. Now you know why they're so important.
Yes, indeed.
Like, yeah.
So it was like, that really didn't happen. You could have, I don't know. I just couldn't grasp. And then the very last accident, it was me. The guy thought I was racing with him.
Right.
Thinking, my God. And I'm so careful now because I've been told you have another accident within this calendar year, you can lose your job. So I'm going down, getting ready to pull in, turn into the station. This guy, he's speeding up with me. I speed up. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to go home. I'm just trying to get to the station. So I would slow down, stop, let him just go. He wouldn't do it. He would not do it. And finally, when I got right at the drive, getting ready to turn left into the station, he stopped right there, and I bumped him.
Wow.
Because I bumped him, because a bus don't stop on a dime.
Yep, exactly.
He got out. I don't know if you read that section yet.
Yes, I did.
Talking about the whip splash. I was laughing on the inside so hard.
Yeah,
but I had to keep it professional because I'm mad as heck. Because I'm like, you just cost me my job. This is what I'm thinking. You've cost me my job. And he's like, I said, well, you know what? I'm about to go call the police and I'm going to call my superior so they can, no, I was just playing. I said, sir, do you understand that this has probably cost me my job? This is my last accident. And come to find out, he had a gun in the car. He had narcotics. And just he was high as a kite. And that didn't matter. It did not matter when I tried to explain this was not my fault. He told me, but you're a professional. You should have known what he was going to do.
Yeah. Yes. If you're that professional and you have the crystal ball to know what everybody's doing, wouldn't you think you could figure out the Powerball numbers and you'd be retired?
I was just so outdone. I said, so he said, well, as of this moment, you are no longer a bus operator.
That is hard. That's a hard pill, man.
And I sat there for a minute because I'm trying to. Did he just fire me? So no, he didn't. Are you serious? Like what? Why?
Right.
And he said, you don't believe fat meat's greasy. You didn't think I was going to fire you after your fourth accident? I said, but it wasn't my fault.
Right.
He opened his door and said, get out.
Wow.
And I just ran to my car because I didn't want nobody to see me crying. And I called my OGs. I said, I didn't say this in the book, but I said, I want him dead. I didn't mean it, but that's how angry I was because I waited for this job. And it was just snatched out from under me just like that. And I didn't do anything wrong. I felt like I didn't do anything wrong. And so the OGs, they said, listen, you have to listen to the voice of reason right now. We are going to grieve it. We're going to grieve it to help you get your job back. I wasn't even thinking about grieving it at the time. All I was thinking about somebody just get his hand, some catch them hands. You know what I'm saying? I want him to catch somebody's hands.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they had to calm me down to say, Crystal, well, Smooth. That's what they always called me. You have to listen to reason. You can get your job back, but you have to listen. Listen to us. And I did. I calmed down. I filed my grievance.
There you
and
go.
it went through the the little
Yeah, the process. Yeah.
steps. And once I got into with the union and explained those accidents, they could not believe that the third accident that he told me I should have let him hit me head on. They couldn't believe
Right.
that he
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
And I said, me neither. You know? So after that, except for the one accident, they didn't drop off. All three accidents were stricken from my record. I was installed back into my job. But in the installing back of my job, before I got back, because I left as a part-timer, I had to go back as a part-timer. But I guess being spiteful or whatever it was, 5 people became full-time before me. So
Yeah.
I lost my seniority over the people that was in the class with me and a couple of more people. So I lost my, so they were now over me. It was crazy. So
Yeah. And you started out part-time doing this, right?
Right.
Your job started out part-time, and then you full-time.
Yes, then graduated to full-time.
Right.
They, after, it was like a seniority thing. And, that's why I said I lost my seniority when those 5 people went ahead of me before when I came back part-time. So a month later, I was full-time, but still those 5 people were now picking over me. They were picking their vacations over me. So it was a hard pill to swallow because I'm like, I should have been over those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it happened to me at work when I went from city driving, like a daytime driver, P&D, to doing line haul. I had said to the powers that be, when a position opens up and they hired 5 guys before they took me over to line haul. The nice thing is that after a year and a day, I got my seniority back because we had to go to the bottom list for a year and a day, and then you got your seniority back. So that whole year, I mean, I tell you what, I put up with a lot of crap from those guys. Like there were guys, especially one guy in particular, he was like, he's going to rub it in. He's going to let you, you're like, we were laying out at the time. So we're heading out to like Cincinnati or whatever. So I'd get back on a Saturday morning and wind up going out Sunday night. I had no weekend, but I was like, just remember, dude, it's gonna suck when I get my seniority back because you feel it. You are gonna feel it.
And it was crazy for me to get my seniority back. A couple of them were let go, and a couple of them had passed away, and I ended up, getting up, back my seniority.
Sure.
I mean, God, I didn't want that to happen that way,
of course. Right.
But I just felt like it was my rightful place,
Sure.
So
however, I don't know, Crystal. To me, however the Lord decides to do it, I'm okay with it.
Right.
Did I just say that out loud? I'm just kidding.
He works in mysterious.
Oh, that's just hilarious. I thought it was so cool. I mean, like I said, this book is so it really is a really good book. I really implore people to get it. You want a book? It's an easy read. It's fun to read it. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun reading it, and I'm going to finish going through it. I'm really enjoying this. But I wanted to know how did you meet the OGs? How did you meet, how did that come about? Like when you started driving, but how did they all kind of start coming around you and like, hey, let's
Well, all of them were bus drivers.
Right.
So once we finished with the classroom time, we had to go out with each of the operators.
Okay.
And that's how I met up with each,
So you met each one at a time as you went out with them
and they just put nuggets into me, and they pretty much said the same things, and it was like my favorites. Oh, I like him, not like him, like, I could be, but they just instilled so much like a dad,
Right.
And then they were all close. So it was like these 5 that were really close, and those 5 took me under their wing. And so they treated me just like I was their daughter, and every time something happened or, anything went wrong, I would go to my OGs and be like, look, such and such, I'm not sure if you got to the part where I got my jaw broken. Are you there yet? No,
I haven't gotten there yet.
I don't want to be
No,
spoiler.
no, spoil it. It's okay because I'm still going to read the book. I am dedicated. It's like when you start get like you get to that 10-minute mark on a movie, and I'm committed now. That's where I'm way committed. I'm
right.
going
But
all the way through.
anything that happened to me, I just so happened to be driving one of the routes, and I'm coming down, and I see I guess school let out, and I'm picking up all these school kids, and it was like, how Moses parted the Red Sea?
Yep.
It was like they parted the kids just parted or something. Next thing I know, something hit the bottom part of my jaw.
Wow.
I just closed the doors and rolled on. All I know is I heard, wait. Oh, I was just moving because I'm like, y'all parted the way for somebody to throw this brick, whatever it was. I didn't find out what it was until I actually got downtown. Calling traffic control and the ambulance along the way. I'm crying. My jaw swelled up so big.
Wow.
By the time I got downtown and the ambulance met me, at the spot downtown, and they said, "Are you okay to do the trip going back?" No. I need medical attention right now. Like somebody has really, so when the ambulance got on the bus, they said, "Oh my God, what happened?" Because my jaw was like out here. And so I said, well, somebody threw something. When they looked back, it was like a ice covered brick, like an ice covered rock, whatever you want to call it, hit the bottom part, and it broke my jaw in 2 places. Wow. And I thought, this cannot be happening to me. So I was out of commission for 3 months because I had to get my my jaw wired shut, and it was just a mess. And so when my OGs found out about that, they went straight to where, and the kid snitched. The person that actually threw the brick snitched on him. So just you could not mess with me. And I'm an OG child. It was like that was my child. And so karma came real quick. That's all I can say. It came real quick. So.
You know what they say, life's so, that's the way it is.
They made sure all of my bills were paid. They made sure my kids went to school because I couldn't really do anything. My mom was there 100% of the time. She was watching them. She was taking care of me. And I just felt like I was just so angry because here I am. I didn't do nothing. All I'm doing is providing a service. Yep. And this is what you do to your bus operator? I couldn't understand. So it was just the little things that, people would do. And my OGs just, say no more. It was like they knew everybody around the town, like, oh, I know just who you're talking to. It was crazy. But
when you've done that long, it's like that they do know everybody around town.
Yes.
They picked up everybody at one point or another,
Yes, because they've been there driving way longer than I had.
Right.
And so they, picked up the different passengers. They knew the people around the, neighborhood, stuff like that. So when I came on board, it was like, we got you, and I was just so glad because all I was trying to do was make it, because they told me I can have a career of 30 years. That's all I was trying to do. Was make it was a great job, great pay to me, because here I am. I'm only 24 years old, so I'm starting out with a career job.
Yep,
I wasn't trying to lose my job so early in my career.
Exactly.
So the union got me back then. I didn't have another accident like I was trying to be a safe operator, do everything I needed to do, and I succeeded, in doing that.
Amen. That's it. That's the thing is, I think is so cool is that you took the time to listen to what they had to say, what the OGs had to say. Yes. And I think that's another one of those reasons why I think they took you under their wing like that.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people who get into the industries, whether you're a bus driver or you're a tractor trailer driver, you know,
Yes.
and they know everything. They just graduated school and they know they know what's going to
Yes.
happen. You know how to do it all, and they can
Yes.
take care of all of it. And it's like really, you know, just listen to what some older people have to tell you who've been doing this for a long time.
Right.
You know?
And when I got into my like 28, 20, you know, years or whatever,
Yeah.
and the newbies coming in, it was like trying to, you know, show the different you know, newbies. I know, you know, you need to do such and such and such. Oh, I know, and you would lose your job because if you had to just listen. That's all you have to do. Just listen. Don't figure like I'm a know-it-all. I know how to drive it, but no, you don't.
Yeah.
Because I didn't. I had no idea.
You got no idea what's coming down what is going to come for you, you know? That's driving, you know, and that's driving anything. I mean, just look at, and nowadays, I mean, just the way people drive as a general rule, it's like if, you know, I was driving home this morning on my way home from work and I had a person coming up behind me and I'm like, I'm doing, you know, I'm exceeding the speed limit as it is. I don't want to, you know, but I was, because I don't normally. But I was in the left-hand lane, so I was going around somebody. And all of a sudden, somebody's coming up on my tail. And I'm like, what? Just relax. I mean, away in 30 seconds, you know?
Right.
Flat, horns are blowing. It's like, dude, I realize it's Memorial Day weekend. You got somewhere to go. And the you, but relax. Calm down. We can all get more. And people just, they drive like the world.
Crazy. It's crazy.
It has changed so much over the years.
And you do because, you know, like I had one pet peeve. It was like I would have my left blinker on just real quick. I would have my left blinker on trying to get over to the left lane or whatever. Yeah. And getting ready to get over, somebody shoot around me just to get back over. Had you given me 2 seconds, I'd have been out of your way. Yeah. There's drivers like that just be like, really?
Yep.
You
it's
in
crazy.
a hurry to go to the next red light? You know,
not it. You got a date. You got a date with a red light. You got a date. You gotta have a date with a cop. Is what you. I don't know what kind of date you're looking for, but that's probably not the one.
Right.
You know, it's just so crazy, and doing what you did. Now you're retired now. Is that correct?
Yes, I retired November 17th. 2024.
There you go.
34 years. Yes.
That is fantastic.
Yes.
That is fantastic. And you drove in Cleveland. We can say that.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's cool because where we work, we have a terminal in Cleveland. Pitt, Ohio has you know, we've got a terminal in Cleveland and all over Ohio. You know, but you know, I had been out to Cleveland several times years ago when we were still laying out as far as line haul goes. We would go out to Cleveland and then come back the next day and then do that again the next, you know, every weeks a week. And I thought Cleveland was a nice place. I mean, I've been
here all my life. So, and I kept saying, when I retire, I'm relocating. No, I'm not. I just think Cleveland is the safest, you know, place because whenever somebody is having hurricanes, we get the high winds. Having earthquakes, we get the little tremors. You know, just little things like that. I'm cool. You
live right next to the lake, so you get lake effect snow.
You know,
I did not like Cleveland for that.
I'm good. I'm not, because I'll go somewhere and be homesick. I'll be right back, you know, because this is all I know, you know. All of my family is here, so this is all I know, you know. And I love it. I love it.
You know, the thing, and I know you probably get this all the time. One of the things that ran through when I used to go out that's when the Drew Carey show was popular, and it was in Cleveland, and I was like, you know,
it sure was.
But you know, I mean, it was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame out there. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I went and because it was, you know, odd hours. You know, you're getting there at like, you know, 7 o'clock in the morning, so they're not quite open yet. But you walk past it, you know. It's like,
right.
That was cool. It was. I thought Cleveland was a pretty cool place. I really did. I thought
it is. I love it.
For a bigger city, it's like it's really nice. It's not a bad place at all.
Ohio's not to me. This is the only place I know. You know, I travel, you know, pretty much everywhere, but I'm always back home. You know, I mean, so.
This is coming from a guy who lives in a town that's got 1,300 people. So, I go to Cleveland. It's like New York City. Wow, look at the big buildings.
Right.
Lots in
Exactly.
Cleveland, you have the population of Shoeville.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but no, it's so cool. It is so cool to have, to actually sit and actually have somebody who did something like what you did and write a book about it.
Yep.
I'm like, it's so interesting. Now, can you tell us a little bit about his name is, did he pronounce it Xavier or Javier?
Xavier.
Okay.
Xavier.
What a nice chapter that was. I tell you what, that was
Thanks.
just really nice chapter.
And that a lot of people, they said that got me right there.
Yep.
And all I was doing was driving my bus, and I opened my doors one night, and this guy was like, okay, but to make a long story short, he would get on every night, not knowing where he was going, but he was always clean. He always smelled good. The first time he got on and he touched my hand, I said, I ain't never washing this hand again. He was just that handsome. And so when I finally found out that he was going to take care of his mom, who was in hospice, and she was, given, I think, like only 2 weeks to live. So every day, that's where he was going to be. He would work during the day, and he would go sit with his mom.
Wow.
For the rest of the evening or whatever.
Yeah.
And when she passed away and he got on the bus, I knew from his face that she had passed away. And he was like, Smooth, I know my mom wouldn't want me sitting here crying, but I miss her so much already. That was the relationship they had. She taught him everything, like not to depend on a woman, stuff like that. And it was amazing to hear him talk about his mom that way. And so when he told me that he had to go to a doctor's appointment, he's like, oh, it's nothing. I've got this little pain in my throat. It's nothing, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, well, make sure you keep me posted on, let me, what's going on. And so when the person called, I'm thinking it's him, and I was like, okay, what did they say? They was like, is this Smooth? And I said, yes, it is. Who am I speaking with? Because it didn't sound like him. And so they said, well, this is Dr. Kozar. This is the person that's treating him. He came in for, a routine checkup about his throat. He was saying he had pain in his throat, and we found out that he had cancer in his throat, and he had to have emergency surgery, and in our trying to get it out, he went into a coma. I just broke down right there because we had became so close, and just talking to him, and him being around me, because like I said, I'm 24. I'm kind of new in the dating game, stuff like that. Right. And he was just the nicest guy, and so I said, okay, as soon as I get off my ship, I'll be right there. Please, just don't take him away. All the while I'm driving, I'm like, Lord, please don't take him away from me, blah, 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 blah. I get there, and I get to the nurse's station, and they tell me, okay, we'll take you to his room. Dr. Kozar said you will be coming. I get to his room. He's got all these tubes just everywhere. And I get over there, and I'm thinking, oh, my God. It was worse than he really said. Right. And so when he finally woke up, I said, oh, you woke. I'm getting ready. He called me. He said, Smooth, I need you to do something for me. He said, I need you to pull the plug. But before telling me that, he told me where all of his funeral stuff was, where this envelope, where everything that I needed to carry out his funeral, to be left with for me and my boys, which I would have never expected. He told me he needed me to pull the plug. I said, I can't do that. Right. I can't take no one's life. He said, I understand your position. He said, so this is what I'm going to do. He said, I'm going to hold my breath until I flatline. When I flatline, then you go get the doctor. And I said, don't do that. Don't leave me like this. He said, I need to be with my mom. That's how much he missed her in that short period of time that she went home to be with the Lord. I just sat there and cried when it flatlined.
Yeah.
went and got the doctor, and the rest is history. And I went and found everything he told me to find, carried out his funeral, and I was just, kind of, how you just threw for a minute. I was like,
Yep.
that was the best friend that I ever had, and he passed away.
I thought you described that chapter. That chapter was so good. I mean, and I want to do his mom a little bit of honor. And this is what she taught him. These are the things that she told him. She taught him to always say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, to use good manners, and to always respect his elders. She also showed him how to cook, clean, and wash clothes, because she said she never wanted him to depend on a woman to do what he could do for himself.
Yep.
And lastly, she told him that when he got married, not to love 1,000 women, but to love one woman 1,000 ways. That is just really good advice from a mom. You know what I mean? It just brought
he made a joke. He was like, and I was on, before my wife passed away, he said I was on like 924 ways.
Right.
And I just thought, wow. It was just amazing how this man just loved his mom, and his mom loved him, and their connection was just beautiful. It was extremely beautiful. So
it was.
I don't think I ever find nobody like that again.
It's a great chapter in the book. It is really it's a beautiful chapter.
Thank you.
In a book that has things like, you don't smell that. Just really.
It was dedicated to all the bus drivers around the world, because
Right.
To at least 1, maybe 5 chapters in that book. I knew, so. But
it's amazing. It is, it's so much fun to read this. And like I said, I
made the chapters very short, so it'd be like, it's a quick read.
They are, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I think is so really cool. Like it's a quick read, and it's enjoyable,
Right.
Yes.
I've got stuff underlined. I'm like, I was underlining stuff. Like, this is really good. And with his mom, I thought was really nice. I thought I underlined that one. I was like, that's really good advice.
Right. Yes.
That with your grandkids and your own kids, and I just think it was really good. And
right.
How did you like when you went to run in the night shift? How did that transition? How did that work for you as far as transitioning? Now, because we both run the night shift, both Chipper and myself. We both are night drivers, and so it's one of those things where you don't, when you start doing it, it's an adjustment. I don't even want to say it's a transition. It's an adjustment. You got to adjust your life. It is. It's a whole different world.
And I kind of liked it. I mean, at first, I didn't mind getting up early in the morning, stuff like that. But when I had to just go on late runs, I was like, this should be good, because it's quiet out. There's not really many people out like it is during the day. You know what I mean? So sometimes I would be driving by myself, maybe 1 or 2 people, so it became, hey, I can do this.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. And plus, they were open. There were a lot of open runs as well, know. So I was like, they had to pick a letter, as opposed to having a straight day, which I couldn't get because all the OGs and the older, seniority, got those runs. So the only thing that was left was the late run. So I said, hey, I might as well do what I got to do, so I made the adjustment to work late runs. If I needed to, take my boys every now and then, I would take them with me. If it wasn't getting off, like I would have a run that maybe got off at 10 o'clock. I would have them with me, and we go straight on home.
That's really cool.
So it worked out pretty well for me until I moved up the ladder where I was able to get like a split or something like that. But it took me a long time to actually get a straight day that I enjoyed,
Did you adjust okay to work in kind of a later shift like that? Did that adjustment work out pretty well?
Yeah, I did. It didn't really bother me as much
Good.
as I thought it was. My
Yeah.
mom, she was kind of nervous because she was like, "It's a
Sure.
bunch of crazies out
Yeah.
there, and
Yeah.
I don't want nobody to get on the bus to hurt you, and
Yep.
things like that." So I took that in consideration,
Mhm.
but. I had people riding the bus with me to protect me if anybody got on the bus like that.
Yep.
So
I did
they
read the book.
didn't bother me. All they wanted to do was ride.
Yeah.
So it was cool. I was like, oh, okay, help yourself.
Yeah.
So I was good.
Yeah.
It worked out perfect. So I didn't have no problem with it.
That's really good. I'm glad to hear that. When I just hit the why moments chapter, and I think this is actually a really good. I'm underlining a lot of stuff in this chapter. I mean, as Ship, I've got stuff underlined, and I was just like, those are really good, why moments. I was like, yeah,
Right.
why, this is the things that I would think, and it is. You wrote them out. I'm like, why are you holding the door for another passenger that is all the way down the block? It's like,
Right.
yeah,
I will close your foot up in the door.
right.
Get to move your foot or we're going to be rolling. Stuff like that. And then they'll move their foot real quick. Like, no, because you're delaying my line now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right.
So,
of course. And this is a class. This has got to drive you crazy. Why do passengers walk toward the bus instead of waiting for you to come to a stop? That's a good question.
why?
Hey, what is it with people that they feel something as big as a bus moving at them and they're going to move toward it? It's like,
Right.
wait
I'm
on
going to give it to you.
Yeah, I got to come right there. That's where I'm stopping.
Right.
The sign stop. That means
I had more than that, but I had to chop it down to 25.
Oh, my word.
Get
It's great.
25 of your favorites.
Yes.
That was just a little icing on the cake, so, but I had more. That is why I am currently working on book 2.
I was just going to ask you that.
Oh, absolutely. This one is
fantastic.
Confessions of a Bus Driver. The ride continues.
Oh, that's
And
fantastic.
if you think that one was funny, smelly, and you crazy, this one is going to be off the chain.
That's
Off
fantastic.
the chain. So,
I'm literally looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great, and I'll be buying that one too because this is
right.
it's such a fun read, and it's really full of a lot of wisdom. It's got things in here you can take away. And how did your sons like you being a bus driver?
Oh, they loved it.
That's
They
fantastic.
loved it. They thought I was big money grip.
Yeah,
That's all it. Mommy got money now, so we're gonna be getting more toys, and 'cause my kids were 1 and 3 when I started.
Wow.
So they grew up on the bus with me being on that bus.
That is
so
awesome.
it was a great thing.
Yeah, definitely. That is fantastic. So I guess adults now, and I imagine you have grandkids now, or
Yes, I actually have one. I got 6 grandkids, and then I actually have 1 great grand.
wow.
Right.
You don't
And
look.
I tease them all the time. I said,
Grandma.
I wasn't finished being a grandmother. No, I just tease. But I do. I have one, and he's a full-time job, so I have him all the time. But that's how I am with all of my grandkids.
Right.
Out the womb, that's my baby. You just carry them. That's my baby.
Yep.
So we all grew up. We're all very, very close. So
That is so cool.
I love them.
good. Family
really
is important.
It is. It really is. There was one chapter, there was one spot that I read to my wife today, and I said to her, I told her you were coming on, and we're talking to you, and I'm just trying to remember what chapter it was in, and I can't. When you found the track in your bus.
Yes. Now that's when I got my job back. So that was my testimony in getting my job back as well. So I got to the end of the line. And my sister had already been trying to convert me. And I was like, I don't want to hear about that Jesus stuff. Don't come at me with that. but it was like the Lord knew that, okay, I'm going to just have to play something.
Right.
So he did.
Yeah.
Somebody got off and left a track on my bus.
Right.
I read the track and just out of nowhere just started crying. I'm like, oh my God, so it really touched me.
Yeah.
So I said the sinner's prayer right there on the bus.
Right.
I ran to the payphone. This is when they had payphones back in the day.
Yeah.
I
those days.
I called my boyfriend at the time. I told him, I said, I just gave my life to Christ. And I kid you not. He said, so I'm losing you to Jesus? I said, I guess so. Hung up and never looked back. To this day, August 6th, matter of fact, it would be 34 years that I have been born again. I have not looked back.
That is awesome. I read that chapter. I just wanted her to hear it. I thought it was so good.
Yes.
This is my wife told me this, so she did. She really appreciated it, and I thought it was really cool. So.
Yeah. And if you can hear my grandson, he's right in the background. Okay. So I'm sorry.
No worries at all.
He woke up. I was trying to okay, at 12 o'clock, he needs to be asleep. But he woke up. So, but he's a good kid. He's a good kid. Awesome. He just loves to be. And why he called me mommy, I don't know.
It's okay.
So
he's little.
He'll be 2 next month, going on 52.
Yeah.
He's a good kid.
Awesome. That is so. Look at
I am so thrilled that you all love the book. I'm telling you, if you can promote it, get it out there, tell people about the book. Bus drivers, truck drivers alike, it don't matter. They need this book because it's funny, it's informative, it is a memoir, it's true stories.
That's the beautiful thing. And it's the beautiful thing, and it's the crazy thing. It's true stories. I mean, this is people get on the bus and they fall. Things happen on the bus that you don't expect to have happen.
Right.
So it's fantastic. It is, and I cannot be more happy to sit and read this book and promote. Right. It was really such a great read. And I really appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on and chit-chatting with us about it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my word. We loved it. We had a great time. We really did. So if anybody out there that has not bought this book yet, I would suggest you buy the book because it's definitely worth it. Yep, you got it. I got my copy. And it is a really good book. You'll love it. You get the book, you're going to love the book. You're going to fall in love with Crystal, and you don't even know her just because it really. And you are beautiful. I will see you, beautiful woman. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. Hang on with us. Don't go. We're gonna sign out and we'll chit chat for a few minutes after. We hope you enjoyed the show. And Chipper, if they enjoyed the show, what can they do?
Well, they can buy the book. Confessions of a Bus Driver.
That is exactly right. They should buy the book.
And then they can share the show after they read it.
There you go. Share the book and share the show.
That's it. So, with that said, keep the hammer down in the hammer lane. Have a good night.
Have a good one.